This is the Private Officer Beat Radio with Rick McCann at the microphone. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Private Officer Beat Radio, a production of Blue Ram Media Group, LLC, and Private Officer International. I'm your host, Rick McCann, founder and CEO of Private Officer International and several other businesses. We're here this morning in front of the microphone, broadcasting live from our office and studios with a whole agenda, a whole list of things that we need to discuss. Everything from the use of force that has increased over the last 2 to 3 years, noticeably over the last 12 months, the 2023 Officer Down Report, the number of security officers killed in the line of duty, the number that have been confirmed shot. We'll be bringing that to you today on the program as well. And we've got a couple of unique comments and emails that has been sent in to us in the last month or so, and we're going to share those with you as well on today's episode of the Private Officer Beat. Remember, you can check us out, check our news 24/7 at privateofficerbreakingnews.blogspot.com, and certainly be part of the communications at twitter.com/private officer, as well as on Facebook, Private Officer. Remember that in these times, it's really very, very important that we stick together, that we communicate with one another, that we support one another in this profession, and that we collectively agree to what we need to do to better protect ourselves. As an international organization, we have members not only throughout the United States, but across many different countries, and we're growing. We've just, in recent months, had communications with countries that very small countries that we really didn't know too much about, but they have their own private security industry and regulatory aspect to that industry, and so we're growing into other countries as well. But it's very important in this time and date and place that we get on the same page with each other, that we communicate, that we support each other, and that we participate in training with one another. And that's why we try each year to hold a number of seminars, a number of different training events, and we've tried to hold conferences, and unfortunately they just didn't go off as well as we anticipated. But this is a new year, and we don't want to dwell too much on the old, and we're looking forward to all of the things that we're going to be doing in the new. How do I participate, you ask? How do I get to know about these trainings? How do I, offer my services, volunteer? How do I contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. That is the first step, the first way to let us know that you're interested. And, of course, you want to, in your email, let us know what it is you're interested in doing or what it is that you want to be involved in, and we will help you to do so. Private Officer International, as always, right from the beginning, offered many different services. The whole theory behind the organization right from the beginning has always been training, education, support, giving and providing services that security personnel don't have and can't find elsewhere. And really, we still are all about that, although we have grown substantially over the years into a larger news organization as well as owning a college and other private security or public safety related businesses. We are going to take our first quick break. We'll be right back. Remember, you are listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector, a production of Private Officer Beat Radio from Blue Ram Media Group, LLC, and Private Officer International. Body Armor USA, we've got what it takes to protect you. Whether you're looking for the top quality protective armor or protective clothing, stab-resistant vest or gloves, contact my friend Ben over at Body Armor USA. Give him a call, 516 area code 817-1666. Again, that's area code 516-817-1666. Body Armor USA, we've got what it takes to protect you. No doubt about it. Across the country, there's a new 3-digit emergency number if you're feeling suicidal, if you're experiencing a life crisis. 988 is now the 3 digits that you can dial, just like 911 across the country. You'll connect with mental health professionals, and the 988 number will connect you with the Crisis Lifeline, formerly known as a National Suicide Prevention Line. Veterans can press 1 after dialing 988 to connect directly to the Veterans Crisis Lifeline, which serves our nation's veterans, service members, National Guard, and Reserve members, and those who support them. For text, veterans should continue to text the Veterans Crisis Lifeline, short code 838255. Too many people experience suicidal crisis or mental health-related distress without the support and care that they need. But you're not alone. Simply pick up the phone and dial or text 988. Someone will answer that phone who is caring, understanding, and there to help you. 988. There is hope. We have a special going on right now. We've recently lowered the price of our newsletter subscription. It was $50 per year, which is a very reasonable, excellent price. However, we had a real issue trying to get people to sign up and register for that, even at that value. We recently lowered the newsletter price for a limited time only to $29 a year. So be sure that you sign up for it at privateofficer.org or contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.org. I think that a lot of people believe that the news is free and that it doesn't take much work to put it together, and that's just not true. We have a full-time news staff. We have researchers. We have folks who are spending a lot of time, 100 hours a week or more, getting this compiled. And we write a lot of our own news articles, research a lot of our own news articles, and it costs money. And so hopefully at $29 a year, you'll better be able to afford that and sign up for it today. And I think you'll see that there's quite a value to our newsletter. Like I said, we've sent out several different announcements of this new price in recent days. And if you didn't receive it, contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. Well, I got a very unique email, but it's not the first time, actually. We've had and we've heard similar comments over the years. Security, a career or a long-time security person contacted us inquiring, why don't we become a union? Why doesn't Private Officer International go from being an association or an organization to becoming a union. Although there are some other unions in the country, they don't provide much service for the money that they're getting. They're slow to respond. They're not worth what we're being charged monthly for, said the comments. And they want, and like I said, this is not the first time. We've had a number of comments, and we've even done some research in previous years. But being a union, it takes a lot more than just saying, okay, I'm a union, and we're opening up a union tomorrow, and our dues are $50 a month, and, this is the service that we're going to provide. There's a lot of governmental regulation, and then there's, the competition. And I'm not really sure that I think that we could be beneficial, but I'm not really sure that security personnel know what a union really is or what it provides or what it does for the dues that are charged every year. Many people believe that the union is going to come running in every time there's a problem, every time your supervisor talks down to you, talks bad to you, threatens you with your job, and that's not really how it works. And so we might spend a little time in the next month or so looking into this a little deeper again. Things may have changed over the last 5 years. Who knows? But I don't think at this point it's something that we would consider, but I will do some investigative work on it to see if it's feasible and what the value would be to us. Now, on an unrelated email, we have quite a few emails that do come in. We don't always mention them on the radio program. We try to every once in a while. But on an unrelated email, a writer who is not a member of the organization, which is fine. We invite everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a POI member or not. We invite everyone to email us, write us, send your questions or comments. But this person wrote saying that many security officers now are not covered by insurance, which is true. It's always been one of those negative situations with this industry. Many security companies do not provide insurance. At one time, security companies the larger companies, would provide insurance and pay for, let's say, 50% or 60%, and then the employee would have to pay the remaining 30, 40, or 50%, which is still a pretty big chunk, but definitely much less than if you had to pay it all on your own. But these days, many security companies, even the larger ones, tend not to offer insurance. And this commenter, this writer said, it's about time that we band together and make this happen. We need insurance. And I agree. I definitely agree that healthcare insurance is one of the most needed benefits these days as the cost has gone up extremely high. This person also commented that in recent years he's met people that has had to go on Medicare, Medicaid if they were over 65 just to get insurance. Some folks, the wife had to go get a better job so that she could get the insurance and cover the family, which is very, very expensive. I know people that are paying more than $1,000 a month, more than $1,000 a month for family insurance, and that is outrageous. I don't know of any way, and we've looked at several different ways, including working with a Christian organization where you paid a certain premium each month, much lower than you would if you were paying insurance, and then people who needed to go to a doctor or a hospital would take money from that pool of money and pay. And it's been around for quite a while. It works. It's not quite insurance, but it is a way to pay your medical expenses. We've looked at that. We've looked at several different types of healthcare insurance. We cannot provide it. That's the long and short of it. As an organization, we cannot provide health care insurance. It has to come from your employer. And many major underwriters and insurance companies, they just don't, they just don't allow independent or private associations to be able to provide that health care. We do provide a $5,000 policy, death policy for our members. So if any of our members are killed in a line of duty, and thankfully only one in all of these years, 20 years, only one was killed in the line of duty. But we do provide that as a benefit to the family. We also provide other financial support to the family when an officer is injured. And so if you are a POI member and you're injured, all that you have to do is contact help desk at privateofficer.com. We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to the voice of the Frontline Protector. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for the finest private security officer training in the Charlotte metropolitan area? Do you need PPS qualifications in armed or unarmed training? Or maybe you're over there across the line in South Carolina and you need the SLED training. Well, we've got the right training at the right time for you. Premier Training Academy, located at 5624 Executive Center Drive, Suite 142 in metropolitan Charlotte, North Carolina. Give them a call today, 704-806-4933. They also offer firearms training, personal protection, first aid and CPR, and so much more. Call John at 704-806-4933.
In many parts of our country, including the Southeast and the Midwest, and way over yonder to the northwest area and down to Texas, we've had very, very cold weather, and it affects everyone, including security officers. Some security officers have foot patrols. They're outside all the time. Some have parking control services and other types of duties that they have to conduct outside, and so they're not staying very warm. We have talked about this through the years. We've provided some remedies for staying warm, and you can listen to our shows right here on the Private Officer Beat. All of our shows from the first one, I believe, right up until this one here is stacked up in the library, and you're able to listen to those at any time on demand. They're streaming all the time, waiting for you. But it is really a concern. In every part of the country, there's some form of dangerous weather, whether that be hurricanes, tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, ice storms, snow, of course, and other things. So please remember to stay warm. And if you need further help or maybe suggestions, just contact help desk at privateofficer.com. We have a lot of things coming up this year, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we've started a brand new service, and we're going to be looking for folks to work in that area. And without spilling the beans too much, we've talked about the Real-Time Crime Center for about 6 months now, and we're just about up and running. We'll be up and running shortly, and we're going to be subcontracting some of the installs out to electronic security alarm companies who are licensed in those areas. And we have several other new and exciting things happening, including a new company that only does one thing. It provides only one service. That's it. It doesn't provide security guards. There's no static security. There's no special events. There's no. We don't do bodyguards. They only do one thing. and that is alarm response. It'll be a national corporation before the end of this year. It will have franchises throughout the country. We've already had interest in 3 different states, and we have a method that we've used with our 9 security offices that I had at one time to have this as a whole standalone business. And working with some partners, we're going to make this something very unique and special, because we'll be contracting with not only alarm companies and commercial and residential alarm users, but also local law enforcement. And if you're interested in knowing more, contact helpdesk at privateofficer.com. We'll be releasing a newsletter on this, or a press release, coming up in the next month. Of course, many of you don't get those newsletters or the press releases, and that's unfortunate. You can sign up right now. Go to privateofficer.org or contact helpdesk at privateofficer.org, and they'll send you a link so that you can get those newsletters and press releases directly to your mailbox. We have some training events coming up in the near future. One of them will be in Virginia, and we've got one coming up in just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, in Cobb County. And as soon as we get that confirmed, we'll let you know. We're also heading out possibly to Las Vegas coming up shortly, and elsewhere. If you'd like for us to do any type of training, whether that be church security training, church security officer, any type of medical training up to EMT level, just let us know. Use of force, taser certification, and much more. Contact helpdesk at privateofficer.com. 2024 has already been very dangerous. We have had a lot of security officer shootings. In fact, just last weekend, last Friday, I believe it was, we had a security officer and a police officer involved in a deadly use of force in Norfolk, Virginia. Security was on patrol of a shopping center, and police, and they were notified of a suspicious person who was trying door handles on vehicles, acting suspicious, maybe even attempting to break in or looking for vehicles that may have been unlocked to see what he could steal. Well, the security officer on duty, along with police officer, found the man and approached him. He produced a knife and threatened them, and then began to advance on them. The security officer and the police officer fired multiple times, killing the man. The security officer did fire his weapon as well as the police officer. Of course, the police officer is currently on reduced duty as they investigate this. The security officer, because this happened in Virginia, is obligated now to report it to the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice, where they conduct their own independent investigation on this use of force. I'm not sure of the policy or the company that the security officer was working for. But across the country this year, in the first few weeks, we have had a lot of security officer-involved shootings. And we've had several security officers murdered on the job. And we're going to tell you, right after this next break, about the number of security officers who were shot and the number of security officers who were killed in 2023. Remember, you can go to our website at privateofficer.org right now and sign up to be a member. Receive more than 50 benefits, including a $5,000 life policy and life and death policy, where your family can use it should you are killed in the line of duty. Yeah, it's something we don't like to think about. It's something we don't like to talk about. Even I was stuttering just then, because I hate to think about officers being killed in the line of duty, but unfortunately they were. We're also going to tell you at the next. I was just thinking about a security officer who was killed last week. I'll tell you about this as well as when I come back from the break. But we'll also tell you about what's happening to help our security officers. You're listening to the Private Officer Beat Radio. We got a lot coming up in the breaking news segment, and then we'll be sharing with you the statistical data that we've collected during 2023, the officer injury.
There was the explosion, and I remember just opening my eyes, and it got both of my legs. I had surgery after surgery, and what's going to happen next? The Wounded Warrior Project said, look, brother, everything's going to be okay. 3 months from now, 4 months from now, a year from now, you'll be fine. I don't know if I would be as well adjusted as I am now if it wasn't for them.
To learn more, call 1-877-832-6997 or visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
Can we be real for a minute? I'm a high school math teacher, and I'm a firefighter.
Man, we're going to have you out in just a minute, okay?
I'm a designer.
I'm a retired VP in business.
And I'm a student.
I'm a mother.
I'm a business analyst, and I'm a volunteer firefighter.
You thought we just fought fire?
Firefighters get trained to do so many things.
Right here. Get sharp.
What we do is serious business.
Three-quarters of the nation's first responders are volunteers. That includes here in Connecticut. And lately, it's been harder than ever, with fewer citizens volunteering.
From teenage cadets like me
to seasoned veterans like me.
So what are you waiting for?
You ready to make a difference?
Ready to join our team?
Your community needs you. We need you. Visit everydayheroct.org or stop by your local firehouse today and take the first step of joining your fire department. We got a lot coming up in the breaking news segment, and then we'll be sharing with you the statistical data that we've collected during 2023, the officer injuries and deaths. I've been involved in a lot of different new business concepts and working, training, traveling, and ill over the last month. But our radio shows here, the Private Officer Beat, will continue. So please, if we miss one or two, don't think that we're off the air, because we're not. The LP Zone on the legal side and the Private Officer Beat Radio will continue. In fact, you can help us by sending us your news updates, things that you see happening in your area. And you can even participate by being one of our guests, or if you want to speak on a certain topic, we'll be happy to open up the airwaves to you. Send us an email, helpdesk@privateofficer.com. This month so far, 3 weeks into the first month of 2024, a lot of shootings involving private security. A lot of fatal shootings by both security and suspects, and things have picked up where they left off in 2023. A lot of this we just can't make up. A convicted felon has been arrested for shooting at security in Rochester, New York. Caprice Clark, 31, charged with criminal possession of a weapon, aggravated assault, and prohibited use of a firearm involving a shooting at a nightclub. Police say he remains in custody. In Dayton, Ohio, a man has pled guilty in the death of a security officer. And I don't agree with this DA's settlement. The man, identified as Antonio Fountain, 37, has been charged with involuntary manslaughter. That was what the grand jury came back with. This is in the death of Security Officer Ronnie Joe Brown, a 60-year-old security officer at Centers Volleyball Club in Dayton. The security officer intervened in a fight that was happening in the parking lot when the suspect, Fountain, sucker punched Brown, causing him to fall backwards, hit his head, and die. Now, the suspect in this murder, Fountain, is facing only 3 to 11 years in prison, and he'll be sentenced next month. A man in High Point, North Carolina, who broke into the High Point University sexually assaulting 2 students, has been found guilty. Philippi Joseph Warren Salid drove intentionally to the university, broke into a dormitory where he sexually assaulted 2 students who fought him off. He was charged with burglary, 2 counts of breaking and entering, 2 counts of assault on a female, 2 counts of attempted first rape, and he has been sentenced to at least 24 years in prison. I think this is a halfway decent prison term for him. In unfortunate news coming out of Anchorage, Alaska, a Diamond High School security officer who is also a coach was just arrested last week and charged with sexual abuse of a minor. Kalia Brown, who worked as a security officer as well as a coach, was charged. Police interviewed him and he admitted to the charge. In Washington, D.C., an armed security officer who is also known as a special police officer who has full authority commissioned by the District of Columbia Police Department shot a woman inside a 7-Eleven last week after a confrontation. The shooting happened in the 4800 block of Nanny Helen Burroughs Avenue Northeast. The D.C. Special Police Officer said that the woman who engaged in a confrontation assaulted him and she was shot in the arm. Police said this is under investigation by the D.C. Police. Not really surprising, but the city of Denver, one of only several cities within the state of Colorado that licenses security officers, say they saw an increase of security officer licenses of more than 1,000 in 2023. The average, they say, was about 200 to 300 per year. According to the licensing division of the city of Denver, the city of Denver now has 8,000 active security officers. This is about 1,000 more than the city of Washington, D.C. According to the Department of Excise and Licensing, the city is booming in every direction. It's not surprisingly that more people and businesses are hiring security. According to the licensing division, in 2021, Denver had 6,400 security officers. This is a substantial increase in the city. Police in Kansas City, Missouri are investigating a security officer who was working at the Crown Center. This is a mall. A shooting occurred. The security officer and a bystander fired their weapons. Police said the security worker may not have been authorized to have a gun, and they're looking into that. According to police, 2 victims were discovered in the lower level food court area, and 4 other victims arrived at a hospital in a private vehicle. At least 6 people were shot this past week. All have non-life-threatening injuries. KCPD said they're concerned that the citizen may have been illegally carrying a firearm as well as the security officer. But I got to ask, this might be true, but did the security officer and the civilian stop what might have been, or what really was, an active shooter situation? More than 6 people were shot. Detectives are still investigating and asking for the public's cooperation to determine the facts. We sent out a newsletter, a news broadcast last week. Norfolk, Virginia police and a security officer were involved in a fatal shooting in a shopping center called the Ward's Corner. The shooting occurred in the 100 block of East Little Creek Road after receiving a call about a suspicious person who was pulling on door handles, possibly attempting car burglaries. When they approached the man, he pulled out a knife and advanced toward them, according to Norfolk police. Both the security officer and the police officer opened fire, shooting the man, and then rendered aid, but he died at the hospital. A well-known and publicized Albuquerque, New Mexico security company CEO and founder of the company has been arrested. International Protective Service CEO Aaron Jones has been charged after pointing a handgun at a man in the parking lot of Popeyes on San Mateo Boulevard. Police say that first the man made some vulgar comments toward Jones's daughter. That angered him, and he pulled a gun on the man to confront him. Police charged him with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and tampering with evidence. IPS does contract work across Albuquerque, working with many retailers and other private companies. An Indianapolis security company is cited for the third time in as many years for federal wage violations after not paying their security officers time and a half. Protection Plus, which employs more than 300 security officers as well as off-duty police officers, has been cited by the federal government, the U.S. Department of Labor, $27,597 in civil damages after they failed to pay a number of the security officers overtime. This is the third time in as many years, and they are also under investigation by other agencies. A man who shot and killed a Sacramento security officer during a 2022 robbery has been sentenced to life in prison. DeJuan Pico, 38, was convicted in November of first-degree murder after shooting an unarmed security officer. According to police, this happened at the Capitol Casino. Now, Pico will face life in prison on a charge of murder and using a firearm in special circumstance. A security guard has been arrested, and this is really a bizarre story. My staff asked me if we should send this one out, and I was going to, but we didn't. A security guard arrested with a severed hand in his pocket. You can say you've heard it here first. Has now been charged with murder. In Pueblo, Colorado, I'm having a hard time speaking today. Authorities charged a security guard with first-degree murder. Solomon Martinez, 26, was arrested after police found a severed hand in his pocket. The woman's head had also been cut off, according to police. He told detectives that he hired the woman as a prostitute the night before. Arrest records said that before disposing of the woman's body, Martinez sought the help of his roommate, Joshua Mazzucco, who helped him to cut the body apart. You can't make this stuff up. He is, of course, incarcerated. According to police, Martinez had zero criminal history and passed all background checks to be a security officer. Just 2 weeks before police arrested him on murder. A suspect was shot by armored truck security in Chattanooga, Tennessee last week. Police there said he attempted to rob the armored truck, but the armored truck security officers turned the gun on him. It happened at a Walgreens store in East Brainerd Road. Chattanooga police said he tried to rob the truck. Officers say one of the armored truck personnel then fired at him, hitting him. Police say it's under investigation. An off-duty security officer was shot and killed in a dispute in California at a restaurant. Hawthorne, California police say the off-duty security officer got into some type of confrontation. 57-year-old Eddie McAllister was shot while getting food at the Fabulous Burgers located at 3301 Rosecrans Avenue at around 2 a.m. after he had just gotten off from work. Police don't know what exactly happened. The off-duty security officer leaves behind 5 children and a grandchild. The investigation is ongoing. A security guard at an illegal gambling room in Jacksonville, Florida, has been arrested for murder after shooting a patron. Police there said Earl Coleman, 61, now faces charges of second-degree murder, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Coleman's arrest record goes back for years. Officers arrived to find 23-year-old Martaris Magruder. According to police, a confrontation ensued. The illegal security guard fired multiple rounds. He says the man stole $5,000. It's all still under investigation. One thing is for sure. Coleman, the security guard, wasn't supposed to have a gun and legally could not work as a security officer. All proprietary and contract security officers in Florida must be licensed. A woman is charged with $20,000 in theft of sunglasses from Nordstrom's. Happened in King County, Washington. Police there said 2 women entered the store. Police was able to locate one of them. Another one is still outstanding. A gunfight erupted at a marijuana dispensary and a security officer was shot 5 times. This happened in San Antonio, Texas. We notified our members of this. According to police, the security officer working at the Purple Dragon Cannabis Dispensary was the victim of the attack when 3 men, 2 armed, tried to rob the dispensary. According to police, Jonah Duran was that security officer, and he told the media he was just thankful to be alive after being shot 5 times. He's still listed in fair to critical condition. The National Law Enforcement Foundation says law enforcement fatalities decreased by 39% in 2023. According to the foundation, 47 officers were killed in 2023, which represents a 25% decrease from the 63 that were killed by gunfire in 2022. A Nashville security officer has been arrested after masturbating while watching porn in front of a shopper in the parking lot of a Walgreens on Gallatin Pike. According to police, the woman said hello to the security officer who originally was standing in front of the store, and he also smiled and began to flirt. The woman went on into the store to take care of her business, but the security officer moved his vehicle and parked it next to the shopper, and he took care of some other business. He's been charged. The company has been removed from the property. A security officer came out of his apartment in Nashville, Tennessee, to find his patrol vehicle vandalized and burglarized. It happened in the Hermitage section of Nashville, Tennessee. Officers say several other vehicles were also vandalized. When you see news happening, contact us at helpdesk@privateofficer.com. We're going to come right back after this commercial break, and we're going to tell you about the statistics about how many security officers were killed and how many others were injured. We'll be right back.
Wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
Human trafficking is slavery.
And it happens all over America. Any child, any woman, any man could potentially become a victim of human trafficking.
I am a victim of labor trafficking.
I was victim of child sex trafficking, but now I own my body.
Human trafficking is any kind of forced labor.
It can happen to anybody.
I am a mother.
I am an author.
I am a son.
I'm an advocate.
I am an educator.
I'm a sister.
I am a brother.
I'm so much more than what happened to me.
I am strong.
I am brave.
I am outspoken.
I am compassionate.
I am a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor.
I am a survivor of human trafficking.
Welcome back to the Private Officer Beat Radio. Looking back over the last couple of years, I guess we have a few things that we can say that we can celebrate when it comes to the report that we do, the annual report of security officers who have been both killed in the line of duty as well as injured. We certainly have seen the number of injuries in 2023 continue to not only climb but skyrocket, and really no end in sight. It's a situation that will continue to increase and probably grow at rapid paces because of the sudden increase, substantial increase in the use of private security. On the plus side this year, as we sit here and report one more time about the violence against private security and special police officers, we can say that 2023 was bad, but thankfully, although more security personnel was shot, fewer died. And there are a number of reasons why that is, though we can't really put our finger on any one specific thing. We know that more security officers are wearing body armor. More security officers are actively engaged in monitoring their environment, more situational awareness. We know because we hear from these security officers and private special police in the field, as well as through our social media and emails. During 2023, more security officers were shot, but thankfully fewer died than in the previous year. However, on the minus side, we're seeing more unarmed security officers who are being shot or killed, and that area continues to climb every year and will continue to climb every year because the majority of private security in the U.S. today is still unarmed. And even though there has been a radical change in the number of those who are armed as opposed to just 10 years ago, the fact is that most are still unarmed. And you and I both know that there's not a police officer in this world who would go to work and face the dangers that they face without carrying a firearm. In 2023, a total of 104 security officers, including 2 special private police officers who were fully commissioned, died on duty. And of those, 79 were homicides. These are only the figures, the numbers that we collectively were able to verify. We have had reports of others who have been killed, and we just haven't been able to substantiate it, because if it's not being reported locally in the media and we contact law enforcement and we get the runaround, we can't verify it, we can't report it. So these are all verified factual numbers. 79 homicides. 3 were killed during a mass shooting, including 2 at shopping malls. 2 were killed while working as armored truck security officers during robberies. And 9, the highest number we've seen since keeping statistical data for almost 20 years, were killed during retail thefts. Trying to stop shoplifters, both loss prevention, working for the store as proprietary agents, as well as contract security, killed while trying to stop retail thefts. While most officers during last year died from gunshot wounds, 4 died from being stabbed, but there was a report, we've gathered the information, of 27 stabbings of security officers during 2023. We're seeing this also increase for whatever reason. I guess it's easier to get a knife than a gun for many people, and many people carry knives in their pocket. I carry one. Many of you carry a knife. So we have a weapon. It may not be the weapon of our choice, but it is the weapon of opportunity. And so that may be the reason that we're seeing the increase of stabbings of security officers. 4 died of stabbings, 3 of blunt force trauma, while 9 others died of medical emergencies while on duty, which resulted in death. Some of those were heart attacks. In one case, it was a stroke, and others, it's not reported exactly what the medical emergency was. We also know that 7 other security officers died in motor vehicle collisions, including 1 security officer who was hit by a truck in a commercial warehouse setting near the dock, loading dock. 1 was hit by a school bus on school property. 1 was hit by construction equipment. And another security officer died after falling off a wall. We also know unequivocally that at least 887 times in 2023, security officers were victims of aggravated assaults, meaning a weapon was involved. There are thousands, think of it, 365 days a year, 50 states, more than 1 million known security officers in the U.S. You don't think there's at least 100, 200, 500 assaults every day across the country involving security officers? There definitely is. They're not reported. If somebody shoves you, that's an assault. If someone threatens you with a weapon or threatens to do bodily harm, that's an assault or a battery in many states. Although we can't track those because they're just not reported, we know they're happening more and more and more every day. And thankfully, someone in our organization said, let's start our own news department many years ago. And because of that, we're able to track in real time what's happening. And we have added so many different methods of doing that, and I'll explain some of them to you at the bottom of this. But that has helped us to really get a clear picture of what's happening in the security industry. In 2023, we also know that private security officers fire their firearms more than double of that which they did in 2022. We know that security officers were involved in at least 63 fatal shootings in 2023, although we know that the number of people that security officers shot was much higher, and we have the media reports, we have the documentation, but we're just not in a position to follow up with every shooting to see if the victim dies or lives. Over the last almost 20 years, Private Officer International has been the leading source of news, information, and statistical data, to the point where we have state and federal agencies that we report to. We have regulatory agencies who contact us the beginning of every year to see who, what, where, when, how in their state, who is involved, how many, because they don't know. They don't do any collection of data. Do I believe that the numbers will continue to grow? Of course, in the wrong way. There'll be more security officers injured, more shot, more killed. We have said this for many, many years, and unfortunately, it is coming to fruition. It is happening. All right, so many people want to know, how do we collect all this data? What's our method of being able to compile this information? First of all, like I just said, Private Officer International employs a full-time news staff. We have a statistician, we'll skip that word. And we curate news far more than ever before. We use more than 3,000 news sources daily. Our office also reviews dozens and dozens of public records, including police reports. We use several legal platforms that list criminal and civil case results. We use multiple other sources to cross-reference and verify various data. We even work with other reporting sources, law enforcement, and governmental agencies to substantiate both the information and the stats that we're collecting. We put a lot of work and a lot of effort into what we do. And it's not cheap and it's not free. We have to pay our staff to do it. If you would like to sign up for our newsletters, go to privateofficer.org. If you would like to donate to what we do, to what's going on, go to privateofficer.org, officer down, and there is a donation form, and you can fill out and donate whatever you would like. But every year, our costs go up, just like with any business. So, as you can see, 2023, while it's a little different than it was in 2022 with fewer security officers dead, we know that more have been shot, more have been assaulted, and more have been victims. That's going to do us for this edition of the Private Officer Beat Radio. Thanks for being here. Of course, you can download, stream Listen to all of our shows right from the beginning, 24/7. Read our news at privateofficerbreakingnews.blogspot.com. Join us in the conversation on Facebook/Private Officer, Twitter /Private Officer. Until the next time, y'all be safe, be blessed, and we'll see you back here on the radio.